I don't know how much attention the market's been paying to Davos. Is this an event that the market takes attention to, pays attention to?
No, not really. It's a very important event, but it in itself doesn't drive markets up or down. So it's a little bit, I suppose you could say, a forum, a gathering, but there's no policy decisions being made here. You know, it's very important for delegations to go there because you do get a lot of exposure for your country or whatever, but it's not a market driving event.
Yeah, not important enough to attract the likes of you either.
I'm not nearly important enough to go there.
Well, perhaps turning to today's markets, and looked like a pretty soggy ending to the week. The market looking like it's going to close close to 2% weaker. Really being dragged down by the miners. Now, I saw gold and platinum yesterday took quite a tumble, recovering a little bit today, but still looking pretty weak.
Yeah, look, I mean, the market's gone up virtually in a straight line since the beginning of September. You know, it was at 26, 27,000, and it's just bowed all the way through to 32,000. So, you know, a little bit of weakness is not untoward. I mean, the actual news story, and I suppose all of us try and find a reason why the market's falling, is that the rating agencies were humming and hawing about European sovereign debt and US sovereign debt and how downgrades are coming and how they might downgrade Japan. Now, if they're only waking up to this now, they're a little bit behind the curve. So I don't think that's the reason why the market's coming down. The reason why our market in particular is coming down is that foreigners are getting out. They bought like crazy last year. They're now getting out. We can see it in the rand.
Getting out for any specific reason or just
no,
taking profits?
They've just made profits. They've just made a fantastic return. I mean, last year, in dollar terms, our market must have been of the best in the world. So if you've made 35% profit in dollar terms, and you know things start to turn. Look, some significant news came out today, and that was US GDP numbers, and especially US consumer numbers were actually quite reasonable. The consumer numbers were in fact quite good. So, you know, maybe some overseas investors say, well, things are improving in the US, things are improving at home. You know, maybe take some more money back. We've made a killing, quite frankly. And let's sell off a little bit, and we're seeing it in our market.
Well, we had that GDP number for the fourth quarter, 3.2%. The market was looking for a slightly higher number, 3.5. As you said, the consumer number better than expected, 4.4%.
Yeah, that was a very big number, and that's the biggest number we've seen for a couple of years. Look, there are no jobs yet, but we all know this. You know, the housing market hasn't improved yet, we all know this. But the GDP numbers were very good. Now, surprisingly enough, and contrary to what you would normally think, this is actually bad news for South Africa in particular, because what it means is the US is recovering. So number one, money might go home. Number two, interest rates are going to go up quicker than what you would maybe have expected a month or two ago, which means this free money that's been flowing to emerging markets, including South Africa, you know, it hasn't ended yet, but you know, you may be getting towards the last of that. And you know, coupled with our market's a 17 price earnings ratio. Now, I know there's lots of qualifications, you know, we're at the start of an earnings cycle going up and all of these stories, but on a 5-year basis, you haven't made money buying at a 17 start. You just haven't made a nice return. Doesn't mean it's a disaster. So the market's not cheap, and you know, maybe take a little bit of profits. Look, capital flows in and out on a weekly basis is notoriously volatile. We'll see what happens next week. I mean, I don't know what the Dow's doing now. I've been caught in traffic gridlock.
It was up by about 1/8% just about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was caught in traffic gridlock. You cannot believe what it's like out there. But you know, the Dow could be quite strong on the back of that data that's come out. So, you know, maybe Monday we back up 2%.
It did turn around because the futures turned negative just before that data, didn't they?
So, you know, so maybe on Monday we're up 2% again. I mean, you never know with share markets. But our bull market has probably getting towards the end now. The cash flows, the very positive cash flows into South Africa are getting towards the end. The bond market locally and globally has turned decisively in my view. So, you know, there we are.
Well, just about everything on the top 40 was negative today. A few gainers, Steinhoff, Old Mutual and SAB Miller. We had some news out, and we're going to be touching on Murray and Roberts after the break. So we're getting Brian Bruce into the studio to chat about that trading update. Maybe Kumba Iron Ore. Now, this share was down 2.4%, so really in line with the market today. But this is an ongoing saga, and it's difficult to see how it's going to play out.
We just hope that eventually we get resolution, because one day you hear one story, another day you hear another story. All that we know is this just doesn't sound kosher. I mean, all of the Imperial Crown trading and was your right valid, was your right not valid, did it come in time, did it come in before the other one? I mean, it's a real little, almost well, I hate to say it, but you know, it's almost a soap opera. But it's a damn sight more important than a soap opera, because there are billions and billions involved. Now, we saw Arcelor today, their share price got pounded more than the market did. But I've learned a couple of things in South Africa. I mean, things might seem chaotic, but eventually, and unfortunately after a long time, eventually things actually do resolve itself the right way around. So we hope that this will be the case, because it is impacting, and this is bigger. This is not small. This whole story about the mining rights. This is a very, very material for South Africa, and also for overseas people's perception of South Africa.
Because as you said, it's not just a story about Kumba Iron Ore and ArcelorMittal.
Yeah.
It's a much broader story, isn't it, for investments in South Africa?
Yeah, you know, with this whole conversion to new order mining rights, and where do you stand legally, and you know, how efficient are the government, how fair is the government in allocating all of these? So they're very, very big underlying stories here. And of course, you know, just to make it more interesting, you know, throw in a bit of politics and the people with a few political connections. So it's a real little soap opera.